Hi, in my first video, Family History 101, I showed you two websites, FamilySearch.org, which is free, and Ancestry.com, which is a subscription site. At the very end, I mentioned the three essential facts you need to know to actually link your ancestors back to Europe, because we are focusing on Europe right now. The first fact was name, then birth date, and also birth city. In this video, I'm going to look at some of the entries, and I'm going to give you a hint about some of the documents you can look for to actually find a birth city for your ancestor. Now, the census has some very general information, but it does not list city of birth, it just lists country of origin. So we have him, this one person, if you look at the information, it has him listed from Germany, Austria, Hungary, all in a census. And the truth is, all of those are kind of accurate. He was from the Austro-Hungarian Empire, which means that he was from Austria-Hungary. Germany is a bit of a stretch. His wife was from Germany, so it kind of becomes a question of who was actually speaking to the census worker. But when it comes to finding that specific city, the 14th entry on the list is the World War I draft card. So World War II draft card said that Albert Jossetz was from Hungary. But if you go actually further back in the records to World War I, then you can see very specifically where he's from. And if you just looked at the details on Ancestry, it doesn't even really list the birthplace. It just says view the image. I pull up the World War I registration card and I read for myself, yeah, that does actually look like Zombaz, Hungary as the birthplace. But when you try to map Zombaz, Hungary, this is what you're going to come across. So this is back in the turn of the century, going from the 1800s to the 1900s. So if you go back and you really, really examine that writing, you might say, oh, you know what? That's a comma right there. That's a comma, and this is an R. And it's kind of hard to tell whether or not that's an O or an A. But let's just change that to an R. Oh, still nothing, right? Still nothing, right? So don't assume that you're going to be able to just go in and map where your ancestor's from. But you can do a Google search because that will actually go back into historical records. And so doing a Google search or any type of a search, I come across an entry for Zombor in the Wikipedia, and it says right off the bat that it's in Serbia. It's not in Hungary at all. It's in Serbia. And then it mentions that in Hungarian times it was Zombor. And then there's a historical record for the city of Zombor, the district of Zombor. So don't think that you're going to be able to just map quest these areas, because in Europe, historical boundaries have changed like crazy. So he was from the Austro-Hungarian Empire, but he was actually born in Serbia. Okay, at this point, I have a name, a birth date, and a city. What that enables me to do now is to actually look at the records in Europe, and I can find his birth record, and I can find his parents.